and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Rosemarie Neumayer, and today's video is a crochet video. Specifically, it's something I've been wanting to put together for a while now. It's what I'm calling a Stuffie primer. So if you want to make stuffed animals, this is what you need to know before you start looking at patterns and watching pattern videos on how to do things. So, because there's a lot of wonderful, great, fabulous pattern tutorials and how to do the stitches and how to do, make stuffed animals and all this stuff. But I haven't really found anything that says this is what you need to know before you do that. Because sure, you could just grab some yarn and a hook, but is it going to be the right thing? Are you wasting your money and your time? I'm a Stuffie maker with 17 years experience, self-taught, and I've been picking up more things obviously over the years thanks to YouTubers who have, made things a lot easier, because I realized I spent the first few years anyway, I was slip stitching everything. If you know a bit about crochet, you'll understand what that is. If you don't, this is the video for you. I get asked a lot, I want to start making stuffies. What do I do? And I refer people to YouTube, because it is still the greatest resource. There's lots of fabulous teachers. I highly recommend tipping them on either their Ko-fi or buy a coffee or whatever they've got going on, because let's keep these people making stuff. But then there's the in-between things, like what do you need to know before you even pick up a hook? So first things first, not all hooks are created equal. And it depends on what you want to do, what hook you want to use. Because I make amigurumi, which I probably pronounced wrong with a very North American accent, being that I'm Canadian. And everyone else I've heard use the term is using a North American accent. It's a Japanese term. It basically means crocheted stuffed animal. Okay? So you can call it that if you want, but it has a very rigid, specific art to it. There's certain rules and things like that, which we don't necessarily use over here in the North American or European markets. So when we're doing things like we do joining and all this stuff, when you're not supposed to break the yarn apparently. So anyway, so that aside, I call them stuffies because I'm Canadian, and that's what we call stuffies here. Stuffed animals, that's what we call them. So whether they're crocheted or whatnot, doesn't matter. You'll hear people say plushies. They're usually American, so everyone has their own little term. There you go. Right from the get-go, that's what you need to know. So, for stuffie making, you want to use an inline hook. This is an inline hook. Okay? The other type of hook on the market, it'll be both these hooks, by the way, are the same size. They're 5mm hooks. And of course, because I'm Canadian, that's the terms I'll be using. This is a tapered hook. See how it tapers here? These are the original crochet hooks. Tapered hooks have been around for as long as crochet's been around, because it was the easiest thing to make. Inline hooks are new with modernization. Because of machining, we can do fine machining that allows us to keep this shaft here straight. This helps you with your tension, keeping everything tight and neat and even. They also have pointed tips. So I highly recommend an inline hook if you are going to be making stuffies. If you're going to be making something else, go ahead and use the tapered. Now, sizing counts. Different size hooks and different yarns really matter. You're going to hear things to like tension and all that stuff. Tension is kept with your hand and your hook. Okay? So how you hold your yarn around your finger, that sort of thing, and then you weave the other end through and all that stuff. So it's all done by that. This, by the way, is an acrylic yarn. It's a medium worsted, which is just what the weight is called. So it's a medium weight yarn, and this is Burnett Premium. Yeah. So this you can use for stuffies if you want. The only thing with acrylic is acrylic does this. See how that stretches? I like cotton. Again, I'm not a fad person. I've been doing this for 17 years. So 17 years ago, I looked at the yarn choices and said, hey, this is better. Look at that. Hardly any give whatsoever. So what happens, because when you're doing crocheted stuffies, you want to keep your tension tight. And by doing that, you do this. this little guy here, I'll show you. See? Because you want to make sure there's hardly any gaps between your stitches, because you don't want any holes in your work, because if there's big gaping holes in your work, you're going to end up with your stuffing showing. Who wants their inside showing, right? We have skin for a reason. Stuffed animals have, this is their skin. You don't want your gut showing. So you want the stuffing to be hidden, and so you need tight. And so you're always going to be using a drop down in your needle size than what's recommended. Like this recommends a 5mm hook. So does this. This is Burnett Handicrafter cotton, by the way. And yeah, it recommends a 5mm crochet hook. I was just double checking because it's been a while because I never read that. But yeah, so this is too big for this. So what I use, and also it's helpful, have a little pencil case or something like that just to keep your hook in, and your scissors, because you're going to need scissors. You're also going to need a darning needle, and you want to keep any like little bits that you have there, a pen or whatever if you're writing notes. I like to do that. This is an ergonomical tapered hook, inline hook I should say, by Susan Bates. So far, this is my favorite hook on the market. This is a 3.5mm. That's what I use. Some people are fine with using a 4. For a while I was using 3.75mm, but then they made this a little thinner, the fibers, and so I had to drop down to a 3.5mm, 5 years ago roughly now. So that's what I use to make this, and to get that tight stitches, because that's what you need when you're doing stuffed animals, which of course are in the round. And yeah, so you want to have tight stitches so you don't have any gaps, right? So, or not too many. And that's why. So that's what I use predominantly. Now, right now on the market, there's a yarn that has become a super huge. Burnett, by the way, this is a medium worsted cotton. It comes in Lily, Sugars and Cream. I'm pretty sure the Sudsies is the same stuff too. There's so many different types of it. It's all just the same stuff repackaged. Loops and Threads is the same from Michaels. So it's all good. So right now the big yarn that's everyone's using, and I can understand why, because you're using a yarn that's, you know, going to make up big. It's this blanket chenille stuff. Personally, I hate it. It's fake. Like acrylic yarn, it's plastic. There's no real fibers. Cotton, you can throw through the washing machine. You can put it through, I'm not sure I can say that on here. I won't say that word. You know the word. And you can, you know, abuse it and use it, and it'll still last a lifetime. My original Stuffies that I made for my cousin 17 years ago that got me on this journey are still going strong, and apparently they've even been re-gifted to their kids. So those sad lumpy little things. But anyway, so yeah, so you want something, if I'm investing, you know, if I'm gonna, this takes me 20-25 minutes. If I'm gonna spend 20-25 minutes of my life, I want it to last. If I'm gonna spend longer, I even want it to last. And apologies about the cat in the background meowing if you can hear her. She's grumpy. She's 16. It's getting cold. I'd be grumpy too. Actually, I think I am grumpy about that. So anyway, the blanket yarn, the chenille stuff, without further ado, I have made one. I had a friend who gave me some yarn that she had left over of this stuff because I hate it. I can barely touch it. I have sensory issues from, you know, that's just who I am. This to me doesn't, feels, yeah, terrible. But anyway, so there it is. So I can understand the appeal because this and this are the same pattern. This is the exact same thing, just with a different weight of yarn. And with the blanket yarn, even though it calls for like a 7 or something like that, I was using a 5mm hook so that I could get this tight, so you don't see any gaps in the stitches. Now, if you want to get a little crazy, because everyone's been doing this. Oh, Abby, it's okay. See if I can get her for you. Grumpy. Come say hi to the good people. Oh. Yeah, you say hi? That's what I'm doing. I don't like it. Okay, there we go. So that's, you know, I've been using, as everyone was getting bigger, I still have a bit of a rebel streak. So I dropped down my yarn sizes and started using Patton's Grace and made, again, same pattern. There's the little guy. Yeah. This, by the way, is one of my first patterns I ever made 8 years ago. It's a freebie on my website, rosemarieneumayer.com, freebies page. There he is. Look at that little baby octopus. Itty bitty teeny tiny baby octopus. Okay. And then, because I was going a little crazy, I dropped it down even more. That's with size 10 crochet thread. That is what this is. I make micro crochet jewelry out of it now. Don't recommend doing that unless you really know the pattern well, because most of this is done by feel, not sight. And always, by the way, every 20 minutes or so, look up and look far away, 20 feet or more, because you want to save your distance vision. Yeah, because looking all the time close up like that will kill it. 20/20 rule. And so, for hooks, the Patton's is a... Patton's? This stuff is a 2.5 millimeter hook for me. Again, so I can get that tight tension. So you can see, okay, doesn't like it. And so you're not seeing the stuffing. And this little guy here is a 1.25 millimeter hook for me. Now, when you get down to the smaller hooks, by the way, when you get past 3.5 millimeters, it's very hard to find a tapered hook, or you're going to be using a tapered hook. That's the other thing. So you're going to have to be careful about that, because a tapered hook, this will slip sometimes through here and it'll throw off your tension. You want to be putting your tension up here, not down here. It's hard to maintain tension with a tapered. So that's why I recommend an inline if you're doing stuffed animals. But again, once you're seasoned, feel free to, challenge yourself on teeny tiny yarn. Oh, the little guy is Aunt Lydia's, just in case you're wondering. Classic 10. That's what I'm using currently. And so the rest of it, I'm just going to show you some of the things you're going to need. Again, talked about it. Good sharp pair of scissors. And for the record, when I say you just really, all my stuffed animals in the cotton yarn, the Burnett Handicrafter, the Lily Sugars and Cream, the Sudsies, all that stuff, the loops and thread, all those cotton stuffies that I make, 95% of what I make, this one hook. You don't need to buy every hook under the sun. You just need to buy a hook that works for what you're making. That is a huge scam. Do not buy an army of hooks. Buy one hook that you need. Okay. I mean, unless you're going crazy and you're using all different weights of yarn, but if you're just making one thing, like all the people who make all these blanket yarn guys, they're just buying one hook, because that's it. It's all the same weight. The other thing, this thing sheds, okay? Like seriously, microplastics everywhere when you cut it, which is why some people will use a lighter. Yeah, no, I don't recommend that. And then of course, it's not gonna last. And I like things to last. That's just who I am. That's, again, do what works for you. For me, I like it to last, so I use the cotton. And so the other thing that I keep in here, there's scissors. I have a pencil. This unsharpened pencil is great when you have teeny tiny little bits at the bottom there to stuff. So you can tuck it in if you have, not so tiny hands. I'm 5'9", so I have size appropriate hands. So this helps to stuff in the stuffing. Now, before the cat gets into it, this is my current favorite stuffing, Soft Loft. I get it here in town at a local shop for the best price for any stuffing, and it's just wonderful. It's very excellent, high quality polyester stuffing without a crazy, huge, expensive price. Walmart has a good stuffing as well. If you're, again, if you're in Canada and looking to get into stuffing making, it's pretty well priced. I was using that for years and years before I found this, which was even better priced here in my own backyard, which, yay, even better. I also have you're going to want a few of these. These are called stitch markers. And these little beauties are for when you start a row. You can slip it in. You can use a safety pin, by the way, for the first little bit, or even a bobby pin before, you get yourself invested. You don't have to go out and buy this fancy thing unless, you really stick with it. But if you're making 2 or 3 and then you're done, use a bobby pin. But yeah, to mark your stitches as you're going along, you put it in at the start or at the end, whatever your preference is. I like at the start. So start my row, put it in, and then go all the way around. And then that way you don't have to count all the way around. Okay, so that was 23 stitches, 23. Okay, you don't have to do that then. Saves you a little bit of brain power there, so that you can just focus on your increasing and decreasing in single crochets and all that stuff. The other thing in here that you're going to need is darning needle, because even a no-sew pattern has sewing up at the end. Now you can, of course, work your crochet hook to do it and loop it on through as well, but I find this is just faster. And then when I'm putting on the eyes, because I'm not a fan of doll eyes, there's only one pattern, and only because it's not mine, and I love this toad pattern. It's actually bookmarked in my Stuffie pattern thing playlist there, because it's so adorable. And if you don't have doll eyes, it doesn't sit right. So it's the only thing I'd use with doll eyes. But otherwise, I I sew on my eyes. A couple of whip stitches with black cotton thread, and then a little white highlight. Put on the little face detail. Again, that's just how I prefer. If you want to use doll eyes, go ahead. Just keep in mind that doll eyes can break. They can fall off, and they can become a choking hazard. So anything that has doll eyes, you're automatically looking at 5 and up. You don't want to give it to a younger kid. It's just not safe. Not worth it either. You'll see fancy knitting bowls. I'll show you. Again, 17 years I've been doing this. I'll show you mine. This is shelf liner that I've hot glued onto a plastic bowl. That's what I use. So when I have my yarn, just to keep it in here, and so especially when you have a ball, when you've balled it up, the little bits, because something like this you'll go through. But if you get the bigger ones of this, you're going to want to do a ball first, because otherwise there'll be knots on the inside, and then you have to cut the yarn and break it, and unnecessary, so I ball it up first. So to have the ball rolling around, to stop it, I just throw it in this plastic bowl, and that's it. And it's just a cheapie from our local dollar shop. And I put the shelf liner at it just to keep it so it sticks. It's at the bottom too. You can see the hot glue and everything. It works. You don't have to spend a fortune. And even in between, like when I'm doing the stuffing, I have the big bag. I put that in a tote in my studio, and it stays there so that it doesn't get any fluff or anything like that, or fur, and it also doesn't, get everywhere, because it will get everywhere. And when you have animals, you have to keep everything, by the way, sealed away. You want to have it in totes, glass cabinets, whatever, just tucked away so that the animals don't get into it. Because let me tell you from experience, a vet bill for someone who's eaten some yarn, very expensive. And it's not exactly a night of fun, because it has to come out. Yeah, I think that explains it. So anyway, so I have the big bag. I keep that in the tote, in my studio, and then I go down and I fill the bag, just a Ziploc of stuffing for the project that I'm doing. Bring it up and use it. I also keep just a regular. Oh, I didn't bring that over for you. Sorry. It's just a bag to put what I'm working with at the time in the bag, just to keep it all organized, all that sort of thing. And it doesn't have to be a fancy bag at all. I just use a regular duffel bag or tote bag, something you use when you go shopping. I have a couple of nice ones from our Indigo, and that I got on sale, because sale is my favorite price point. And yeah, so it's just really, you don't have to you don't have to buy fancy bags or anything like that, but it's just nice to have something to keep all your things together. So I can keep this in there, whatever yarn I'm working with, this, and whatever I'm using for the eyes. I use right now, well, for forever actually, I've been using the Aunt Lydia's Classic 10, which is the size 10 crochet thread, for whip stitching my eyes. And my face details. So that's what this is. That's what this is. And that's even what this little guy is. Now, when I did get to this one, it's too small. So I did use, actually, funny enough, this stuff, the cotton yarn for the face. So I have like a polyester, like the plastic yarn for this guy with cotton face, which, I don't know, there's some kind of irony there. So that's basically what you need to know, is that you don't need to spend a lot. Just buy what you're making. Just figure out what yarn you want to work with. Do you want to work with acrylic medium weight? Do you want to work in fine thread? Do you want to work in a lightweight? This is a number 3. Do you want to work in cotton? Number 4. You know, the worsted stuff. Did you want to stay in that? Or did you want to get into that blanket yarn, which is the popular craze, so you can make giant monster stuffies? That really depends on what. And then once from there, you can buy your hook, and that's it. One hook. Just one. Just one single lone hook that feels comfortable in your hand. Like I said, because of my hand size, I go with the ergonomical. Because see how much more, like, just more natural that is in my hand. Okay? If you've got small hands, something like this, be great. If you've got a bigger hand like me, you're going to want an ergonomical hook. This is Susan Bates' ergonomical hook. Like I said, highly recommend these ones. Maybe someday they'll give me some for free. Probably not. But yeah, no, there's some great tools out there. So yeah, so I think that covers it, what you need to do before you start watching a video. And then once you've made your yarn choice, you've bought a corresponding hook to work with it. For the record, even test the hook in the store if you've watched a few videos or something and you know how to make your magic ring or your slip stitch chain 2 to put whatever you want in, because again, it depends on what you want to do. And you can just pull it a little bit and just try it, see if it works before you spend all that money. But again, like I said, you're looking at dropping your hook size down. I did try once making a acrylic stuffy, and I did drop down to a size 4mm hook for it. Didn't like the end results though, because I don't like how it stretches. So again, that's why I was like, nope, I will keep doing cotton. So I did try it, you know, I didn't just pigeonhole myself. And so yeah, so this has been my favorite, and the brunette is the best price. The other ones are a little more expensive. Walmart, you can get big balls of the brunette, but of course with the brunette line, there is just the handicrafter cotton. There is just not as much variety. So if you want a lot of colors, you're going to be going into the Lily Sugars and Cream and the Sudsies and all that stuff to expand. Sudsies is actually pretty well priced too, so when you can find the cotton. There's a bit of trouble right now with that, but that's a whole nother can of worms, so I'm not going to go into that. But yeah, so that's what you need to know if you're getting started. What yarn do you want to use? Pick up some stuffing, and pick up a hook, and a pair of scissors, and maybe a stitch keeper, or a safety pin, or a bobby pin for that, and that's it. You know, do you want to use doll eyes? Yes or no? Do you want to, you know, sew on your own? You know, it takes about 2-3 minutes to put on a face, and saving my hands from pushing those doll eyes in and for them breaking off. Plus, I just like the detailing better for me because each face is slightly different. No two are ever the same because I'm sewing them on afterwards, so it gives them a really unique look. So that's why I do that. But yeah, again, it's all your personal preference and go from there. But you do not need to spend a fortune. And then once you've picked up what you want to use, then you can take to YouTube and start learning your stitches and start watching. If you already know your stitches, you can launch right into making a stuffed animal, you know, say maybe Hooked by Robin's jellyfish pattern. That's a really good beginner one, and she'll walk you right through the whole thing. There's so many other fabulous ones that just have really great beginner patterns as well too. So you can find lots of stuff available to help you on your journey. And if you have any questions, if I have missed something and you're like, well, what about this? Feel free to ask me in the comments. If I get enough questions, I'll do another video about it. Because we should all be able to make things. We should all make wonderful, joyful things that make us happy. I know making the Stuffies makes me happy, it's just wonderful to be able to sit and complete a little project, whether I make something this big or I make something this big. It's, at the end of the day, it's, you know, whether I'm investing, you know, 25 minutes or 6-7 hours into a project, it's just that wonderful feeling of completion. And then, hey, look, it's super cute. And of course, if you want to, you can sell a little bit and monetize a bit. I will warn you though, it is a slippery slope getting into it. You end up buying a lot of yarn. Yeah, I'm better stocked than a Michael's. So anyway, but yeah, it's just have fun and do something and keep your hands busy and your mind active and those little gray cells working. So hopefully this has helped you, and feel free to hit me with any comments or anything like that in the questions or any further questions. Obviously, I'll do my best to answer, because at this point, it's about sharing. As well, feel free to like, share, and subscribe, so I can keep building this channel and we can keep doing more. That would be wonderful. And thanks for joining me. You have yourself a lovely day. Bye now.